Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour. Israel sets 10th March deadline for Hamas to free hostages, warns of launching a ground offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will shortly launch projects worth more than $120 billion in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. India hosts the 12th edition of Milan naval exercise, more than 50 countries taking part in the 9-day event off the coast of Visakhapatnam in the Bay of Bengal. And tribal fighting kills more than 60 in Papua New Guinea. The latest violence involved the same tribes that clashed last year. The Israel Defense Forces troops continue to operate against Hamas inside Gaza. On Monday, the IDF located medicines designated for the Israeli hostages and large quantities of weapons in the Nasser hospital. The IDF also provided medical supplies and resources to the hospital, even as Hamas continued to use civilians as a human shield. The troops also apprehended hundreds of terrorists and other suspects who were hiding inside the hospital, some posing as medical staff. Now, this comes as Israel has set the 10th March deadline for Hamas to free hostages. On Sunday, Israel War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz said, and I quote, "The world must know and Hamas leaders must know if by March 10 our hostages are not home, the fighting will continue everywhere to include the Rafah area," unquote. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said not launching Rafah offensive equals losing war to the Hamas. Meanwhile, Israel has condemned Brazil's President Lula da Silva for comparing the Gaza conflict to the Holocaust, accusing him of being anti-Semitic and trivializing the Nazi genocide of European Jews during World War II. The outcry further strained relations between the two countries, which have deteriorated since President Lula returned to office last year. President Lula has portrayed himself as a leader of the Global South, a loosely defined group of developing countries. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said President Lula's comments crossed a red line. For his part, Israel's foreign minister called President Lula's comments shameful and serious. The United Nations Security Council is likely to vote on Tuesday on a push by Algeria for the 15-member world body to demand an immediate ceasefire to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Algeria put forward an initial draft resolution more than 2 weeks ago. The U.S. has signaled that it would veto it. Now, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said the text could jeopardize sensitive negotiations aimed at brokering a pause in the war. To be adopted, the UN Security Council resolution needs at least 9 votes in favor and no vetoes by the United States, the United Kingdom, France, China, or Russia. Talks between the U.S., Egypt, Israel and Qatar are on to seek a pause in the conflict and the release of the hostages held by Hamas. A British maritime security company called Amri reported an attack on a British cargo ship in the waters between Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula and Djibouti and Eritrea in the Horn of Africa. According to the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations, the attack took place Al-Mukha in the Bab al-Mandab Strait. The strike was in close proximity to the vessel. No casualties were reported. The United States conducted 5 self-defense strikes in areas of Yemen controlled by the Iran-backed Houthi militia on Saturday. It struck 3 mobile anti-ship cruise missiles, 1 unmanned underwater vessel and 1 unmanned surface vessel as they presented an imminent threat to U.S. Navy ships and merchant vessels alike in the area. Commercial vessels in the Red Sea have been under fire as the Houthis disrupt global shipping traffic. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthis have said that they had targeted the ship Rubimar in the Gulf of Aden and it is now at risk of sinking. Right, in some more news from the U.S. now, 2 police officers and a first responder were killed in the U.S. state of Minnesota while responding to an emergency call. The incident took place during a domestic abuse call for assistance. The officers tried to negotiate with an assailant who refused to release 7 children but were met with gunfire upon entering the home. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz confirmed the officers were killed while responding to the call. The Department of Public Safety is in coordination with local authorities to conduct an investigation. Huge crowds took to the streets of Mexico's capital to protest against the country's government ahead of the 2nd June presidential election. Thousands of people dressed in pink flocked to the capital city's main plaza, roaring, "Get Lopez out." Others carried signs reading, "The power of the people is greater than the people in power." Marches were organized in 100 cities across the country, as well as in the US and Spain. More than 60 were killed in tribal fighting in the northern highlands of Papua New Guinea. A report by a local newspaper said the violence took place on Sunday and was connected to a battle between 2 tribes. Security is a major issue in Papua New Guinea, with at least 16 killed in riots in the country last month. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Russia releases a video claiming full control of the Ukrainian town of Avdiivka. Japan hosts Ukraine's Prime Minister, pledges a bilateral tax treaty. And Pakistan People's Party leader Bilawal Bhutto Zardari rejects a proposed power-sharing deal. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Russian forces have claimed full control of the eastern Ukrainian city of Avdiivka after retreat by Ukrainian troops. Russia's defense ministry released a video claiming that its forces had taken full control of Avdiivka after Ukraine's troops withdrew on Sunday. President Vladimir Putin of Russia hailed the fall of Avdiivka as an important victory and congratulated the Russian troops. Meanwhile, Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine's armed forces said Ukraine had withdrawn its soldiers to save troops from being fully surrounded after months of fierce fighting. The fall of Avdiivka is Russia's biggest achievement in the past 9 months since it captured the city of Bakhmut in May 2023. The White House said that it happened because the Ukrainians were running out of ammunition. It blamed the US lawmakers for failing to agree on a new round of funding. DD India's Jagruti Dave has more from Washington, D.C.
The US House of Representatives is struggling to approve $60 billion worth of aid to Ukraine because of divisions in the Republican Party. The funding is part of a wider $95 billion foreign aid package, which was approved by the Senate earlier last week. Now, in a statement, the White House has said that Ukraine's military was forced to withdraw from Avdiivka after Ukrainian soldiers had to ration ammunition due to dwindling supplies as a result of congressional inaction. This statement was part of a readout of a phone call between US President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in which Joe Biden reaffirmed the United States' commitment to Ukraine ahead of the 2-year anniversary of the Russian invasion.
Розмова з президентом Байденом, дуже важливі акценти.
The conversation with President Biden, very important points in particular about Avdiivka and the necessity for the continuation of principled and sufficient support for Ukraine. The talks with the Vice President of the United States were very substantial. Meetings with congressmen, representatives of both parties, both chambers of the American Congress. And each such conversation confirmed the key idea as clearly as possible. Ukraine can stop Putin and create conditions for him to be punished for all the evils he has done.
Speaking to reporters after this call, Joe Biden also said that he reassured his Ukrainian counterpart that the $60 billion would get through Congress and into Ukrainian hands. Writing on the social media app Telegram, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he's glad that he can count on the full support of the American president. Jagruti Dave in Washington for DD India.
The foreign ministers of China and Ukraine met on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference in Germany. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi said that his country will continue to play a constructive role in stopping the conflict and rebuilding peace in Ukraine. Wang said that China hopes for its relations with Ukraine to benefit the peoples of both countries. For his part, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said Ukraine is willing to maintain friendly exchanges with China. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen spoke to each other about Ukraine, Gaza, the Red Sea and the death of Alexei Navalny in Russia on Sunday. Now, an EU spokesperson said Ursula von der Leyen expressed her outrage at the death of Navalny and underscored the utmost importance of holding those responsible within the Russian system to account. Sunak and von der Leyen also condemned the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. Sunak updated the EU Commission head on his recent conversations with the Israeli Prime Minister and the King of Jordan about the situation in Gaza. EU foreign ministers are meeting in Brussels on Monday. The Foreign Affairs Council will continue the discussions on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, focusing on the EU's military support for Ukraine, security commitments, sanctions against Russia, and Ukraine's peace plan. The Council will also exchange views on the humanitarian situation in Gaza, settlements and regional developments with regard to the situation in West Asia and the Sahel region. The Council will also hold talks with the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi. Japan hosted Ukraine's Prime Minister on Monday in Tokyo to discuss the reconstruction of Ukraine and pledging a new bilateral tax treaty as the Ukraine conflict rages on. Japan's Prime Minister Kishida Fumio said in a speech that Japan stood with and continues to stand with Ukraine. As Russia's offensive on Ukraine enters its third year, Japan has pledged more than $10 billion worth of financial aid as it seeks to show solidarity with Kiev's war effort.
ゼレンスキー大統領は、ウクライナへの支援は慈善事業ではなく、世界の安全保障と民主主義への投資だと述べられました。私は、さらに新しい意義を加えたいと思います。それは未来への投資です。経済復興、産業高度化のフェーズに至るまで、また復旧復興を持続可能とする基盤整備を含め、生活再建を後押しし、新たな産業創出でウクライナの経済発展に貢献すべく、さまざまな取り組みを進めていきます。
Shifting focus to the Indo-Pacific now, tensions are escalating in the waters near Taiwan as China intensifies patrols around a group of islands controlled by Taiwan. Now, this move comes in the aftermath of the death of 2 Chinese fishermen who drowned during a pursuit by Taiwan's Coast Guard, accusing them of trespassing. China's Coast Guard, specifically its Fujian division, announced on Sunday that it would enhance maritime law enforcement and conduct regular patrols in the waters around Xiamen, China, and Taiwan's Kinmen Islands. The decision to increase patrols raises concerns about heightened proximity between Chinese and Taiwanese Coast Guard vessels, potentially increasing the risk of miscalculation or conflict. Taiwan authorities expressed regret over the deaths but maintain that their Coast Guard officers were acting within the bounds of the law. Pakistan People's Party Chair Bilawal Bhutto Zardari rejected a proposed power-sharing agreement with Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, in which the Prime Minister's office would be shared between the two parties. But he said that he aspires to become the Prime Minister, though through the mandate of the people. Bilawal announced that his father, former President Asif Ali Zardari, would be the PPP's candidate for the presidency. He said that his party would not take any ministries in the coalition government, but would vote for the Prime Minister. Reacting to PPP chair's remarks, PMLN leader Ishaq Dar said that the plan to form a coalition government was still on, as he pointed out that there was no other choice available to them. More investigation was required into a royal insults complaint made against the newly released former Prime Minister of Thailand, deciding whether to indict him. Thaksin Shinawatra was released on parole on Sunday. He is required to report back on the 10th of April. Thaksin returned to his family's Bangkok residence on Sunday morning after having completed parole proceedings. He was in hospital detention for 6 months for abuse of power and conflicts of interest. His sentence had been commuted from 8 years to 1 by the country's king. Thaksin also eligible for parole because of his age, health condition and time served, and had been detained in hospital on health grounds. The lower chamber of Nepal's legislature passed the Financial Procedures and Financial Liability Ordinance by a majority on Sunday. Finance Minister Dr. Prakash Sharan Mahath had tabled the ordinance. The ordinance opened the door for the government to submit the principles and priorities of the budget before Parliament by the last week of February. The previous deadline for setting the budget ceiling was amended through the ordinance. And now take a look at some more stories making news around the world. A water spout moving over southern Florida blew debris into the air as it made landfall in Cucho Bay in Florida on Sunday. Weather authorities later described the water spout as a confirmed tornado. No injuries were reported. However, authorities said one structure had suffered damage. Sandstorms in parts of northwestern China brought orange skies and disrupted traffic across the region on Sunday. Toll gates were shut down in Xinjiang. Police and rescue teams helped evacuate drivers stranded on highways because of poor visibility. Storms are expected to continue throughout the region over the next few days. Turkey's rescue teams have released an underwater footage of the interior of a sunken ship named Batunha. The 69-meter cargo ship sank in the Marmara Sea off the coast of Turkey's northwestern Bursa province on 15th February. Search for the missing crew continues. Exceptionally dry weather has caused a historic 2-month delay in the annual migration of Australia's Christmas Island red crabs. The migration, which usually takes place in October or November, sees the crabs journey from the interior of the island to the ocean where they mate. The mass of red crabs usually blocks off traffic in a normal year. Still to come on DD India News Hour. A battery recycling plant in France containing 900 tons of lithium battery catches fire. India's President Draupadi Murmu to visit the Andaman and Nicobar Islands for 5 days. And Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi takes over as Vice Chief of the Indian Army.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
स्वागत आहे to magnetic Maharashtra, the land of valor, dreams and wonders. A state that is a perfect blend of rich cultural heritage and modern cosmopolitan India. Its breathtaking beaches and luscious green Western Ghats are home to 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites that attract innumerable tourists. Maharashtra is a state of vibrant cultures knitted together into a beautiful tapestry. Its people uphold a brave heart and a compassionate soul, a glimpse of which can be seen in the heartwarming stories of the land. Maharashtra is a leader in terms of agriculture, industrial production, trade and transport. From world-famous Nagpur oranges to world-class Nashik wines, from scenic expressways to the majestic sea link, the state is ready to take global center stage. Maharashtra's capital city Mumbai is also the financial and commercial capital of India. With headquarters of major corporate and financial institutions, including India's main stock exchanges, the city is a key driver of the service sector in India. Mumbai, the city of dreams, is also an art and entertainment capital and home to the Indian film industry, one of the largest in the world with a global fan following. Playing host to G20 meetings, Maharashtra and the city of Mumbai are ready to offer our guests an enriching glimpse of India's diversity, inclusive tradition and cultural richness.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. Israel sets 10th March deadline for Hamas to free hostages, warns of launching a ground offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. India hosts the 12th edition of Milan naval exercise, more than 50 countries taking part in the 9-day event off the coast of Visakhapatnam in the Bay of Bengal. And more than 60 killed in tribal fighting in Papua New Guinea. The latest violence involved the same tribes that clashed last year. US Republican presidential contender Nikki Haley has lashed out at her rival Donald Trump on Sunday. While campaigning in the state of South Carolina ahead of the polling for nomination, Haley reminded her supporters of the legal woes of the former U.S. president faces in various courts, as well as his reaction to the New Hampshire vote for nomination. Haley is Trump's last remaining rival for the Republican presidential nomination. She said Trump cannot be an effective president or candidate because of his myriad legal problems.
Here we are. Election day is on Saturday. And a year ago this week, I announced I was running for president. And it's been quite the roller coaster. And when I look at how far we've come, there were 14 people in the race. We've defeated a dozen of the fellas. I just got one more fella I got to catch up to. And the night of the New Hampshire election, if you were watching, Donald Trump was unhinged. He didn't expect me to get 43%. He talked about revenge. He criticized my dress. Then the next day he went and he said anybody that supports her is barred permanently from MAGA. The issue is, if you're running for president of the United States, it's all about addition. You want people to come in. You don't want to push people away.
A battery recycling plant in southern France caught fire with 900 tons of lithium batteries, causing a cloud of black smoke. The fire broke out in a warehouse owned by a French recycling company. Lithium batteries are essential in electrical devices. They contain combustible materials that can make them vulnerable to fire when exposed to heat. A security note warns that in case of a major fire, products present there may result in the emission of cadmium through fumes. Bolivia's capital, La Paz, is on orange alert because of a dam almost reaching its maximum level, threatening to cause rivers to overflow. The city mayor and government officials visited the Incachaca Dam to verify its water level control. The city is also on orange alert because of a heavy rainfall that caused landslides and buried houses. One woman and 2 minors were killed and more than 60 families left homeless. The National Meteorology and Hydrology Service predicts continuous rain and moderate thunderstorms until Wednesday.
In October, we inspected this dam and it was 2 to almost 3 meters below. And now look at this sea of water. There are even tributaries that were not visible before. And now look how they are. So now the dam has reached its point, not yet at its maximum, but it has reached a high point that is allowing the water to flow out through one of its spillway gates.
Sus ventanas de control.
Taking pictures or videos of living things has now been banned for government functionaries in Afghanistan's Kandahar province. In a letter addressed to civil and military officials, the government directed them to refrain from taking pictures of living things in your formal and informal gatherings because it causes more harm than good. The ban on television and images of living beings echoes the previous Taliban rule from 1996 to 2001. Since the Taliban's return to power more than 2 years ago, media organizations have voluntarily refrained from featuring images of people or animals. Egypt's Antiquities Authority has opened a new section of the Citadel of Cairo to the public for the first time, featuring 2 semicircular towers. The citadel, one of the world's largest medieval citadels, was built around 1176 AD under Muslim military commander Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. The newly opened section, including the Ramla and Hadad towers, was built by his successors after Salah ad-Din's death. The citadel was previously used as a private events space and housed army and police barracks. Back home, India's Prime Minister Modi is on a visit to the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. Prime Minister Modi laid the foundation stone of a Hindu shrine at the Kalki Dham in Uttar Pradesh's Sambhal district. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Chairman of Sri Kalki Dham Nirman Trust Acharya Pramod Krishnam were present on the occasion. PM Modi also unveiled a model of the Kalki Dham temple. The program also witnessed the participation of saints, religious leaders and others. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister Modi said Kalki Dham will emerge as another great center of the Indian faith.
22 जनवरी से अब नए काल चक्र की शुरुआत हो चुकी है। प्रभु श्री राम ने जब शासन किया तो उसका प्रभाव हजारों वर्ष तक रहा। उसी तरह राम लला के विराजमान होने से अगले 1000 वर्षों तक भारत के लिए एक नई यात्रा का शुभारंभ हो रहा है।
The PM Modi said that for the first time, India is being seen as the land of possibility in the field of technology and digital technology as well.
आज अगर मंदिर बन रहे हैं तो देश भर में नए मेडिकल कॉलेज भी बन रहे हैं। आज विदेशों से हमारी प्राचीन मूर्तियां भी वापस लाई जा रही है और रिकॉर्ड संख्या में विदेशी निवेश भी आ रहा है। ये परिवर्तन प्रमाण है साथियों, और प्रमाण इस बात का है समय का चक्र घूम चुका है। एक नया दौर आज हमारे दरवाजे पर दस्तक दे रहा है। ये समय है हम उस आगमन का दिल खोलकर स्वागत करें।
In his address, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath says that India was moving ahead on the path of development.
अयोध्या में 5 सदी के इंतजार को समाप्त करने के उपरांत प्रभु श्री रामलला के भव्य मंदिर को बनाने और रामलला को विराजमान करवाने के उपरांत पहली बार संयुक्त अरब अमीरात के अबू धाबी में भगवान श्री नारायण के ही भव्य मंदिर के भव्य उद्घाटन कार्यक्रम के उपरांत आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का आगमन इस संभल जनपद में हुआ है।
Prime Minister Modi will also launch 14,000 projects across Uttar Pradesh in a short while from now. The projects are worth more than $120 billion. The projects relate to sectors such as manufacturing, renewable energy, IT, food processing, housing, real estate, hospitality, entertainment and education. The program will be attended by about 5,000 participants. India's President Draupadi Murmu will begin her visit to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands from Monday. The President will lay a wreath at the Martyrs Column and visit the Cellular Jail Complex and Museum on Monday. The President will visit the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Institute of Technology in Port Blair to attend a civic reception to be hosted in her honor. On Tuesday, the President will visit Indira Point and Campbell Bay. She will also visit Subhash Chandra Bose Island and witness the light and sound show there. On 21st February, the President will attend a program at the Raj Nivas in Port Blair. On the same day, she will witness the operational demonstration by troops at Radhanagar Beach. Other news, India is hosting a 9-day mega naval exercise in Visakhapatnam from 19th February. More than 50 countries are taking part in the 12th edition of the Milan exercise, which is being held in India's Visakhapatnam. The 9-day exercise would be a platform for the participating navies to share ideas to enhance security on the high seas and ensure safety of maritime commerce for growth and prosperity of all. In addition to building bridges of friendship and strengthening of relationship, sea exercise would enhance interoperability, enable exchange of best practices and will boost confidence to undertake missions together in the future to tackle common challenges. India's Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar praised the role of Indian industry in achieving self-reliance in defence sector by 2047 at the inauguration of the manufacturing plant of NEEB Defence and Aerospace Limited in Maharashtra's Pune.
Congratulations on this inauguration of this great facility on the occasion of the birth celebration of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. What an auspicious day to inaugurate a facility like this, which is strengthening our ability to make our own weapon systems in our country, in line with the national vision for Atmanirbharta. The Indian Navy is committed to Atmanirbharta.
The biennial Singapore Air Show is all set to kick off on Tuesday and will conclude on the 24th of February. India's Sarang helicopter display team of the Indian Air Force conducted its inaugural practice display in Singapore on Sunday. The air show will feature a variety of display teams from all across the world. The show also will feature leading aircraft and in-system manufacturers and operators showcasing their products. The Hindustan Aeronautics Limited manufactured advanced light helicopter, which is the Sarang team operates, is featuring in the show for the very first time. The Indian government has proposed a plan for minimum support price for crop diversification. The fourth round of talks between farmers and government ministers concluded on Sunday. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and Minister of State for Agriculture Arjun Munda were among the government officials attending those talks. The farmers agreed to deliberate on the proposals with experts. The proposal promises a guaranteed minimum price to farmers for growing specific pulses and corn that would be given by government cooperatives.
जो किसान अपना क्रॉप डाइवर्सिफाई करके या तो तूर दाल बनाए, उड़द दाल बनाए, मसूर की दाल बनाए या मक्का बनाए, उनको 5 साल के लिए एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करके एनसीसीएफ और नेफेड गारंटी करेगा कि अगले 5 साल तक एमएसपी पर खरीदेगी.
India has begun exporting bananas to Russia. A consignment of 20 metric tons of bananas was flagged off on 17th February from Maharashtra. Russia has shown keen interest in the procurement of tropical fruits from India, with bananas being one of them, which significantly is a major agri-import of Russia. Banana is a major horticultural produce, with Andhra Pradesh being the largest banana producing state in India, followed by Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh. Now, these 5 states collectively contribute around 67% to India's banana production in the fiscal year 2022 and 2023. In the fiscal year 2022 and 2023, India exported bananas worth $176 million. Within the next 5 years, banana exports from India are expected to achieve the target of $1 billion. Now, this achievement will ensure an increase in farmers' income and improve the livelihood of more than 25,000 farmers, and is estimated to generate employment for more than 50,000 aggregators directly or indirectly linked to the supply chains. In a bid to work towards the development of farmers, the Indian government launched the Soil Health Card Scheme on 19th February in 2015. Soil Health Card Scheme helps a farmer use balanced fertilizers, which reduces cost and increases profit as the health of the soil improves. Take a look.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has launched a Soil Health Card Scheme based on the theme of Healthy Dhara Khet Hara, or Healthy Soil Green Farm, which aimed at helping farmers in providing information about the status of nutrients in their soil. With the help of this scheme, farmers are benefited with the information regarding the proper dosage of nutrients to be applied to improve the health of the soil and its productivity.
किसानों को जगह जगह पर अपने पंचायत स्तर पर, अपने ब्लॉक स्तर पर, जिला स्तर पर लैब लगाने का काम किया, ताकि किसान अपनी ज़मीन की उर्वरक शक्ति को चेक कराए, कौन कितना खाद चाहिए, कितना पानी चाहिए, कितना बीज चाहिए, कौन सा बीज चाहिए, कौन सा बीज की उत्पादन ज़्यादा होगा, तो वो हर दृष्टि से किसान को लाभ मिलने का काम.
So far, more than 200 million soil health cards have been distributed to farmers under the health card scheme. Timely guidelines are given for implementation of various activities regarding soil health. Under the scheme, more than $27 million have been released so far to the Indian state and union territories for soil testing laboratories.
The birth anniversary of Maratha Emperor Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is celebrated on 19th February. Shivaji Maharaj's valor is enshrined in the pages of history. 19th February 2024 marks his 394th birth anniversary. Various programs have been organized throughout the state on the occasion.
Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is one of the brave sons of India whose valor has been recorded in golden letters in the pages of history. Maharaja's spirit is exemplified not only in Maharashtra but all over the country, and his name is taken with pride. He laid the foundation of the Maratha Empire to liberate the nation from the clutches of the Mughals. Besides being a patriot, he was an efficient administrator and a courageous warrior. In 1674, he laid the foundation of the Maratha Empire in Western India. During this time, he was formally crowned as the Chhatrapati, or Emperor of the Maratha Empire. The Persian language was widely used in that period, So Maharaj promoted the use of Marathi and Sanskrit in court and administration. Due to his contribution, Maharaj is called Maratha Gaurav. He is known as the pioneer of guerrilla warfare and is revered as the father of the Indian Navy. Maharaj was also a great believer in the rights of women. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Jayanti is an important observance that honors the birth anniversary of the honored Maratha emperor. The birth anniversary of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is celebrated with great enthusiasm every year, and this year marks the 350th anniversary of the coronation of the Maharaj. Every year, a special program is organized at Shivneri Fort in the presence of the Chief Minister. 1,100 policemen and home guards will be deployed at Fort Shivneri on the occasion of Shiv Jayanti, and devotees are requested to reach the fort after 10 a.m. Pune Rural Superintendent of Police Pankaj Deshmukh has urged.
1,100 policemen and home guards will be deployed at Fort Shivneri on the occasion of Shiv Jayanti, and devotees are requested to reach the fort after 10 a.m. Once the event is over, the citizens will be permitted at the fort after 10 a.m. Full care will be taken to ensure that no untoward incident takes place during the event.
Along with the celebration of this year's birth anniversary at the government level in the district, various social organizations and educational institutions will also be celebrating by organizing various programs at their level. Shama Mishra reports for DD India.
And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has paid tributes to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj on his birth anniversary today. Shared his thoughts on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the Prime Minister posted on X. Tribute to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj on his Jayanti, a visionary leader, fearless warrior, protector of culture and embodiment of good governance. His life inspires generations, unquote. The recently concluded Munich Security Conference saw dozens of world leaders gather to discuss issues not just related to security, but also economy and trade. Dr. Peter Helf tells DD India's Jessica Taneja that despite various challenges, the Indian economy is poised to grow further.
We're here with Dr. Peter Heffler. He is the Policy Director of the Wilfred Martin Center in Brussels. Thank you for speaking with us. Looking at the Munich Security Conference, you heard the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who said, and I quote, seeking decoupling from China will only backfire on the US. How do you view these statements, and also what kind of impact will it have on the global economy moving forward?
Jessica, thank you very much for this kind of opportunity. Yet there's a point for European policymakers and the US as well to indeed go through their economic relations and see where we have strategic weaknesses, where we have dependencies, and we have to work upon that topic. The war of Russia against Ukraine has dramatically shown how economic interdependence in the energy sector, for example, could be used as a weapon. And now we are very much alert and have to go through our international relations. It's not about decoupling. We are very well aware, and by the way, the Chinese as well, that we cannot disentangle our economies. They are too much interwoven. But there are certain strategic sectors where we have to reduce our dependency. We have to diversify our economic relations, and that's where other countries, for example India, North Southeast Asia, come into the equation.
So India's GDP is set to grow by 6% this year, and that's faster than both the United States and China. The country has set a national goal to become a developed nation by 2047. What, according to you, has changed in the last decade to see this kind of continued growth from a nation like India?
Well, it starts with basic issues such as demography. You're a very young society. Your average age is half of what Europeans are. So this is a driving engine, whether we leave other factors out or not. Yes, of course, you made progress in internal markets. There's much improvement done. You have the advantage also of technological progress. A lot of these factors are, I think, not fully exploited. There's a lot of potential in India in terms of growth. Another debate is what kind of growth do you really want to achieve? We are very much interested in creating a more complementary relationship. For the moment, it's very much defined to certain sectors. I think there's a much broader opportunity in the manufacturing sector, for example, in pharmaceutical issues, where India has a huge potential and is already leading in some aspects.
And now take a look at some other stories making news in India. Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi on Monday assumed charge as Vice Chief of the Indian Army, replacing Lieutenant General M.V. Suchindra Kumar. Lieutenant General Dwivedi was serving as the Northern Army Commander in his previous assignment. Lieutenant General Dwivedi paid homage to the fallen heroes at the National War Memorial here and reviewed a Guard of Honor before taking charge of his new responsibility. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal skipped the 6th summons by the Enforcement Directorate issued to him for questioning him in connection with its investigation into a money laundering case linked to alleged irregularities in the Delhi excise policy of 2021 and 2022. Education ministers and delegations from 21 different countries visited Vidya Samiksha Kendra in India's Gujarat state on behalf of the World Bank to learn about the different teaching methods. Mesmerizing slopes of Gulmarg in India's Jammu and Kashmir attracts foreign skiers and adventure lovers alike after a recent snowfall. Kashmir Valley, which is known as a paradise on earth because of its natural beauty, including mesmerizing meadows and mountains that have a huge potential of adventure tourism as well as adventure sports. In business updates, the dollar was steady on Monday after data last week showing U.S. inflation remains sticky, cast doubts on when the Federal Reserve would start its easing cycle. U.S. markets are closed on Monday for the President's Day holiday, with volumes likely to be low through the day. The dollar index, which measures the U.S. currency against 6 major rivals, started the week down 0.058% after clocking 5 straight weeks of gains. The index is up 3% this year. Data last week showed both U.S. producer prices and consumer prices increase more than expected in January, with the apparent stickiness in inflation raising the prospects of a delayed start to the Fed's rate cuts. In some more business news, Asian shares were off to a stuttering start on Monday as fading chances for early rate cuts globally soured the mood and Chinese markets returned from holiday with only muted gains. A holiday for U.S. markets also made for thin trading. Japan's Nikkei dipped 0.3%, having surged more than 4% last week to stop just short of its all-time high. Meanwhile, Chinese blue chips inched up 0.3% and Shanghai stocks 0.7%. Oil prices were softer in early trade as concerns about demand tussled with the threat of a supply disruptions in West Asia. Brent slipped 51 cents to $82.96 a barrel, while U.S. crude for April fell 52 cents to 77.94 per barrel. Right, let's now take you to India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh, where Prime Minister Modi is attending the development projects launch of 14,000 projects worth more than $120 billion. These are the latest pictures coming to you from Uttar Pradesh's capital, Lucknow, where Prime Minister Modi is launching 14,000 projects worth more than $120 billion. Right, so if you're just tuning in, we are getting you the latest visuals from Uttar Pradesh's capital, Lucknow, where Prime Minister Modi is visiting. He will soon launch 14,000 projects across the state worth more than $120 billion. Just to give you a context to what is happening and transpiring in Lucknow as we speak, these projects relate to sectors such as manufacturing, renewable energy, information technology, food processing, housing and real estate, hospitality, entertainment and education. The program is being attended by an estimated 5,000 participants. So these are the latest visuals coming to you from Lucknow of PM Modi's event there in the state capital, where he will inaugurate 14,000 projects worth more than $120 billion. And earlier in the day, PM Modi laid the foundation stone of a Hindu shrine at Kalki Dham in Uttar Pradesh's Sambhal district. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and the chairperson of Sri Kalki Dham Nirman Trust, Acharya Pramod Krishnam, were present on the occasion. The PM also unveiled a model of the Kalki Dham temple. So those were the latest updates for you of PM Modi's ongoing visit to India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh. He is now in Lucknow, the capital of the state, for launching 14,000 projects worth more than $120 billion. These are the latest visuals coming to you from Uttar Pradesh's capital city of Lucknow, where Prime Minister Modi is currently visiting, and he is launching 14,000 development projects across sectors such as education, entertainment, hospitality and so on, worth more than $120 billion. And we can see the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Governor also with Prime Minister Modi, besides of course Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. So those were the latest visuals coming to you from Lucknow of PM Modi's ongoing event there. In other news, ground staff at German airline Lufthansa will go on strike on Tuesday, which is going to be the latest industrial action to hit Germany's transport sector as workers demand more pay. The airports affected are Frankfurt, Munich, Hamburg, Berlin, Düsseldorf, Cologne and Stuttgart after the announcement by Verdi Union on Sunday. A similar strike caused the cancellation of 900 out of 1,000 planned flights at the start of February. Germany, Europe's largest economy, has been hit with a number of nationwide strikes affecting air travel, railways and public transport alike. To sports news now.